to Show Up, Stand Out Online Visibility Series for Entrepreneurs. My name is Juliet Stapleton. I am your host. Today I have another visibility strategist that actually I found recently and I really like, and I can't wait to introduce you to Lesley Notton. And Lesley is an online visibility and content strategist who helps female entrepreneurs to create more independence, impact, and income in their online businesses. And it's such an amazing mission. Lesley is an intuitive strategist, and her approach to business is based on two powerful fundamentals of success: marketing and mindset. Lesley, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Juliet. Hi, everyone.
I am delighted because, we're in the same space, but everybody who is helping other people with visibility, they end up developing their own unique strategies because, nothing works. There's no cookie cutter strategies anyway. So it's so interesting to bring maybe a different perspective, a different angle. And I also know that you're just like me. You love having a life outside the business. And therefore, some of the strategies that we're going to talk about today are exactly for that: to create content, to be visible, to be constantly, because, it's a huge competition. Digital world is so noisy. You have to be there all the time. How can you do it without giving up your life? Or, not every day we are camera ready or even, creation ready. And I know there's one magic word that you mentioned when we discussed this interview, and it was batch creating content.
Batch is your friend.
So how, let me ask you yourself, when was that moment when you realized that, I have to do something, and this batch creation concept came into your mind?
Well, for me, it was pretty early on in my career as a coach, because when you start off an online business, you very, very quickly realize that you have an awful lot to do just by yourself. You've got to learn and understand social media marketing. You've got to then, figure out all the different components that go into that. So you've got, your copywriting, you've got your graphics, you've got design on that, you've got video, you've got live streams, and general posts, Facebook groups, pages, personal profiles, all of that stuff. And that's just on social media. In fact, that's just really on Facebook. And you've kind of got to do all these different things for everything. And very quickly you realize that unless you've got a team of people behind you and who are working with you, you've got to be really clever. You've got to get really smart in how you're working, and how you've got to employ some kind of tips and strategies that can speed up your workflow, that can increase your productivity, and actually get things done for you in a smarter, faster way, so that you can then have that life outside of your business, which is, half of the reason why a lot of entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs, because they want to be able to work from home, be with their kids, go out with their friends and family. But you find very quickly you can't do that unless you put systems in place to make that possible.
That is absolutely so true. And the funny thing as well is that I love, as a visibility strategist, there's a lot of hiding. I love this idea about the various types of how we hide, and we don't even realize that we are. So for example, you just mentioned that unless you have a big team of people on board, you can't actually sometimes, how can you handle being so visible everywhere? And you need to have some sort of smart systems in place. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they try and they convince themselves that this is the reason why they're not visible, because they don't have the team, and they don't want to even consider the fact that actually, if you stop thinking about it, stop getting overwhelmed about it, and just go and create a system and follow the system, try different ones, work out your own, you don't actually need right now a team, and you can still have a lot of flexibility and life, as long as, you just have to focus. And it's like the form of hiding, denying it, or trying to say, maybe I need to hire a VA now, but it's way too early in your business. It's not the stage right now. Do you notice that sort of?
Definitely. I think the sooner you can get a VA or someone in, the easier you're going to make your own life. But it's really not always possible for people who are just starting out. Sometimes it's not possible for your first 6 months or year, sometimes longer than that, depending on how quickly you're growing your business and your income. But I think also one of the big problems with that people have is that when they hide from social media, so they say, oh, I don't have time to do Instagram and Facebook, for instance. What they're actually doing is they're lying, really. In all honesty, it's a lie. It's a simple lie. It's a story that we tell ourselves, because if you're hiding from something or you're not doing something, it's because it's giving you something in return. So when you're not putting yourself out there, it's because it's maybe making you feel safe or more comfortable. If you're not doing live video, even though you know it's great for your business, it can be because you're telling yourself, oh, I don't have time to do live video, but actually it could be 5 or 10 minutes a day, a week, whatever you want to do. But by not doing it, you're actually giving yourself an excuse and going, I don't have time for that. But what you're really doing is going, well, I don't want to do that. I'm scared. I'm staying out the way and hiding in the back.
It's all about refusing to push your comfort zone. But if you decided to be an entrepreneur, guys, this is like constantly, daily pushing through and getting used to to the discomfort, because we need the discomfort to achieve a goal. There's going to be always any goal you want to achieve. There's going to be this moment, and the discomfort level varies, but you just kind of have to. And I totally understand. We're not machines. We're the same. We're dealing with resistances. We're dealing with, and everybody's saying to me, Julia, you look so great on like your live videos. That didn't happen from the start, and I made a lot of adjustments to look the way that I can't say to myself, oh, I don't feel like doing it. I found systems as well that helps me, and that's with everything. So, and you know what, we can talk about, this is a separate even areas, how we hide and
that's a big
when
one.
to hire a VA. In my experience, to hire a VA, you really need to understand, first of all, it's training. The VA takes half of the time. When I hired my first VA, I had to let them go after a couple of months, because I ended up just creating work for them instead of just doing it, in a systematic way. So it depends. It really is a different subject. But let's go back to batching, because it's all about the system and saving time and actually pushing through resistance. I found that when I started batching my content, the resistance that I could have, say if I commit to doing, say, live video for 7 days, that's still a commitment that you can fall off the wagon on day 2.
Oh yeah, quite easily. You can quite easily do it, or you can get so proud of yourself that you've done 4 or 5 days that you don't do the next ones.
It's like self-sabotage.
It is, definitely. But there are things that you can do kind of around that. Like one of the best things to do for, you can't do it for live streams, but for pre-recorded videos, for YouTube videos, for podcasts, all things like that, you can just pick a day where you get yourself ready and you spend maybe 3 or 4 hours, or the whole day or the whole weekend or whatever it is, doing content for that thing. So let's say you release a video every week on YouTube. If you do that, you can be like, oh, I don't want to have to, do my hair and makeup, find nice things to wear, all that sort of stuff, make sure everything's clean and tidy, haven't got piles of to-do lists behind you and all that kind of stuff. You can just like book out a day where you're going to go, right, this is the day where I'm going to create my videos. And then you do things like, okay, you go and get your hair and makeup done for that day. You pick out your outfit to wear, and then all you do is swap out a couple of tops or put a cardigan on or take a cardigan off. You've got a different outfit. And then you just record all your videos, and you have like the whole month's content could be done in maybe, 2 hours, depending on how long your videos take. So it's like, when you think of it, instead of thinking, oh, every single week I've got to do all this, get ready, get everything sorted out and do my video, you've got, okay, I've got 2 hours and I've got a month's worth of content all ready to go. And that is quite literally the key to it.
An interesting observation is when you start doing it, especially with video, and I don't know about you, Lesley, but that's how it works for me. I start doing the first video, say I was not in a good place, because we're not, it's not that we're just turn on the camera and off we go. Sometimes it can just be not in a good place, but then you start doing this, and maybe after the first video, you just get into it.
You get into the flow. Yeah, it starts to come more naturally to you. And I find the same is with writing emails. If you're writing email sequences, if you're writing your blog posts, if you're writing social media posts and pre-scheduling those to go out, which I highly recommend you do. You know, the more you're writing or the more you're talking on video, podcast, whatever, the more you get into it, the more natural it is, the more authentic you become, and the more that your listeners and readers and watchers will actually connect to you when you're doing that as well.
That is actually really, really true. Especially I found that with email sequences, you know, say for example, you have a launch, it's much easier and faster and more in the flow when you sit down. You just, all you have to do is plan out what type of, what are you saying in each email, you know, so then you plan out your scarcity emails and nudging and everything. And, you know, the last chance, when you have that little plan, you just sit down and you write things.
Yeah.
And in 1 hour, sometimes the whole launch sequence can be done. You know, I had to go on holidays this year and I did exactly that. And I had this 11-day live video challenge that I was promoting. And I was on holidays. All I did is a few stories while I was on holidays. All my posts, all my emails, everything was pre-scheduled, automated.
And isn't that amazing? Isn't that such an amazing feeling? Like, you know, you can go off on holiday, be sat on the beach, or you're on an airplane, or whatever it is that's happening, and everything is working in the background for you. And that is what is so important about being an entrepreneur, to get those systems in place so that things are working in the background for you.
I think we need to mention as well the other side of batching, the fact that when you have done this, it's done, so you can then use it again.
Yes.
And that is brilliant. Do you have any kind of tips or hacks, or how do you deal with saving that content, or, you know, do you have like a content library that you use? I know I use Trello, but
I repurpose a lot of content, and a lot of people worry about repurposing content or using the same content on different social media platforms. The one thing I always say to people is, go and spend 2 minutes on LinkedIn and scroll through. Go and spend 2 minutes on Instagram, then 2 minutes on Facebook. I guarantee you're not going to see the same content on each of those profiles. And if by any minute chance you do, it's not going to annoy you. You're not going to unfollow or unlike somebody because of it, or think less of them because of it. So that's one really important thing that I always kind of want to make sure that we get out there, because I know that's a real fear for people. But definitely repurpose and reuse your content. You know, if you start with video, it's great. Your video can be used for YouTube, for Facebook premieres. You can then use them in your groups. You can share it on LinkedIn. You can take snippets from it and share them in stories or Instagram. You can take the audio, strip the audio for it and use it for your podcast. Get that transcribed. You've then got a blog post. You can insert your video into the blog post. Take bits of information from your blog post and then use that as social media posts, then email people about it. There's so many ways and so many things you can do with it.
One thing that I know, somebody's watching now and I know what came into your mind. They were like, okay, Lesley, fair enough, but that's a lot of work. Aren't you talking about saving time? So I think that we need to mention here that you also batch creation, or you batch the creation of those things too.
Yeah. And there are lots of tools and things out there that can help you do this as well. So there's lots of things that you can use that will help you to, you know, transcribe your video or your podcast for you. You know, rev.com is great. They do personal transcribing where somebody actually sits and listens to it and writes it down. But they have an automated service as well that I personally use. It is 10 cents per minute. 10 cents. That's like 7 or 8p for us Brits. And all it does is it transcribes it. And to be honest, I haven't had any like major mistakes or anything in it. Obviously you check this stuff anyway. But you know, you can get that transcribed. So that's being done for you. And in fact, it takes about 5 or 10 minutes for that to come back and be done. So to me, that is worth its weight in gold. And then, you know, it's a simple case of, you know, copy and pasting some things into your Facebook scheduler and scheduling that out. That then you've got other tools like
That was my question actually. What are your favorite? Like you said, schedule.
My favorites.
What do you use?
Okay, so I love rev.com for the transcription, worth its weight in gold, and more. I love SendPilot, is great. My friend actually created that. It's a great software. And what it does is you link your blog to it, and it logs in the RSS. So every time you post a new blog post, it sends you an email, and it all automatically creates for you 8 social media posts with images, with the link, with text in, all ready and scheduled to go out over the next 10 to 12 months. So
Brilliant.
that means in 10 to 12 months time, you're still pushing people back and getting traffic back to your website and your blog.
What is it called? Post pilot?
Send pilot.
Oh, send pilot. That
pilot.
is brilliant. Actually, this takes overwhelm. Yes, you can do it manually, but it's going to take you much longer. I use a similar tool that's called Missing Letter.
Yes.
And it does the same, and it's just beautiful quotes, and it just takes that overwhelm. Yes, you can go and spend 15 minutes, tweaking it if you want, but these things are the things that you can have. Then you don't need to have an assistant. You can just invest into those tools. It's worth it. And
it is worth it. And they don't cost a lot of money. No. They're kind of like maybe $10, $20 a month. I don't even think they're that much. And by doing that, you're saving yourself so much time, and you're getting more done, and you're consistently being visible on social media. You're consistently sharing, and you're consistently bringing traffic back to your website and things like that, which, is absolute gold dust. It's what you need to be doing all the time, but it's done for you.
That is, exactly. And it saves time, and it doesn't autopilot. So you have to focus on just writing, just create that content. I want to add actually as well to the fact, should you use your previous posts? I think you absolutely can use your previous post. It's something you wrote 3 months ago. Nobody will remember that it's a word by word exactly the same thing, unless you have a time sensitive call to action. Obviously edit that. And sometimes it's absolutely worth it, because if you are expanding your audience all the time, then the people they go through this cycle. So there will be new people who are ready to see that content, and people who followed you maybe a year ago, they might not be following you right now, because it's a very dynamic world. And it's fine as well,
Definitely.
So I definitely would say I'd encourage you to repurpose your content and
go into your, your insights, your Facebook page insights, your group insights, see which posts, and again, you can do it on your website, see which posts are, got the most engagement or got the most reach, had the most interaction, and post that same thing again. You can do it on Post Planner is another one of my absolute favorite social media scheduling tools. I love Post Planner. And when you type something up or you create something in Post Planner, you can set it to, reschedule this every 3 months or every 3 weeks or every 6 days, or whatever it is you want, and it literally says until forever. So it's like, that every 6 months something's going to be going out. And if you've got a particular course or a program that you launch every 6 months, that's great. If you've got a lead magnet or a freebie, an opt-in that you're trying to get people to consistently opt into to get into your email list, that's not a time sensitive one, schedule that to go out once a week. And you do it once, it takes maybe a minute to set it up once, and then it's done forever. And it's things like that that really, really help you.
That's actually great advice. Post Planner is very affordable, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the Post Planner app that also has the suggestions? You can type the topic in, and it gives you trending suggestions. So you can also, curate content from those suggestions as well, and use something, just to mix it up as well. It's really, really good. I'm also using similar tools. Social Bee is something that I use that creates content libraries. So you can have all your, say there's a launch, and you just create, and you have that library of posts just about this launch, and you can create a schedule over 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you want. And I love the fact that you can sometimes reschedule, like recurring posts. You can schedule recurring posts. For example, if you're doing an interview like this show, you want people to see you as authority. You want people to see you showing up on the and giving interviews. So schedule that every 3 months or so. Just remind them.
I think the biggest mistake people make is they create something once and then they forget about it. Like, you've spent maybe, a couple of hours on a really awesome blog post, or doing an interview, or you've done a really big online summit that maybe you were part of, or you hosted yourself. And then once it's published and it's done, you might send it to your email list. You might post about it on social media, but then I guarantee, like, a week later, 90% of entrepreneurs do nothing else with it ever again. So go back and look at your old blog posts and just go, do you know what? I did this awesome video. I did this awesome blog post. my audience, it's still relevant for them. It's still helpful. The content is still right and accurate. If it's a blog post, it needs updating, give it a quick update, which is great again for Google and SEO because it keeps it fresh. And then, keep linking back to it. Tell people about it again.
It's funny because with the whole overwhelm and the whole overthinking, and then, not doing it because it feels like it's so much work. If you see this investment of time and effort, and then with what we just discussed, with actually recurring schedules of this evergreen posts and evergreen content, you can keep up your visibility. So going forward, you have to create so much less. So if you just invest that time into this bank of library, save it for repurposing, in different formats. And then it's not that you're going to never create new content, but then it's going to take the overwhelm. So it's so worth it, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you brought it up. It's thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I think it's a huge thing. It's a small thing that makes a massive impact very, very quickly. And when you kind of, if you're doing something on social media and you see one of your own posts pop up and you're like, I wrote that months ago. It's brilliant. It's a lovely feeling. You don't have to think about it, worry about it again. It just takes that overwhelm and that stress, off your shoulders completely. And you can concentrate on doing something else that maybe, is the thing you actually love doing, not the social media or the being visible aspect of it.
And you said something just now. You said, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And I think that everything we have to do, we need to find the way to do it that it makes you feel good. It might not happen from the start because some things take practice, some things take just relaxing about them and things like that. But when you feel good, when you just noticed and you saw the graphic you did and you're like, that feels great, or somebody shared a quote that or something else, do more of that, because the more you feel good about creating content, the easier it is and more natural. And you're probably going to create really good content when you're in that space.
Oh, you will. You definitely will. It's definitely, about getting into the right headspace and the right mindset first. And then once you're in that space, it's great to be able to then, that's when you feel like the ideas come and it just flows. The content, you don't have to stop and think about what you're writing. It just writes.
Yes.
That's when the magic happens.
And I know that you have a really, really good playbook for getting visible with a lot of brainstorming. Just sometimes you need to take that time, sit down. And even if you've done this before, it's actually something you should do every 3 to 6 months, take that space for yourself. And when I was checking it out, I thought it was absolutely brilliant for that reflection, and then take it from there, revise everything you're doing. So talk to me about this playbook, and we have a link in the description to this video.
Yeah, great. So it's an absolutely awesome, super easy playbook to kind of use and pay attention to. So it's called the Get More Visible Playbook. Oh, I nearly said it then. Get More Visible Playbook. And if it's a case of the fact that you want to, get noticed more online, become more of an expert in your niche or in your industry, become the go-to person or the person that is kind of the thought leader. If you're wanting to grow your audience, or you want to figure out how to be posting on social media in a consistent way, then the Get More Visible Playbook is absolutely awesome. It goes through 5 of the most common blocks that are preventing you from getting noticed online, and of course how to fix that and overcome them. It's got simple, quick hacks that increase your success online like tenfold. Things that you've got to do in order to grow and scale your business. Things like plans and worksheets for creating your goals each month for your online visibility, and then how to actually get there and achieve those goals. It's got personal action plans, things to help you stay motivated, and how also to get support from other entrepreneurs to help you succeed and grow in your business too.
You should charge for this resource, and it's free, guys. So go grab yourself.
It is free.
And I love the fact that it has the plans. It has a lot of work, sheets for you to, and really thinking about your monthly goals is so important. So many entrepreneurs, they just kind of go like They go with the flow without planning, without treating their business as a business in general, full stop. So go grab it. Lesley, thank you so much for being my guest today. It was a brilliant interview, and I think we've shared so much. I'm going to pop some of the links to the softwares that you mentioned as well, because it's very handy. But guys, before you go into the software links, go check out that playbook. Thank you so much again. I will see you next week on another episode of Show Up, Stand Out. And for now, don't hide and stay visible. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.